you get a sense of things. At what point did you think, oh, they're going to lose the game?
Probably maybe the Toffoli's fumble for a touchdown was like, oh, this might really be happening.
Yeah, this is
Um,
a thing now. It's in play.
because you just can't give them a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then, I think when they got the offensive pass interference on 4th and 1, I was thinking, well, geez. I
And it's
mean,
a good play call too. I
oh
love that
man,
play. I love it.
yeah.
It's an easy play. Yeah.
And if it hits, like it hits, I mean, that could wrap up the game right there. So it was
It does wrap up the game. Yeah.
just a weird game. And it, with the fact that you've got Clemson 1 week later, obviously everybody's so heightened right now. So everybody's kind of freaking out. But, I heard you talk a little bit in the first hour. I'm pretty confident about how they're going to play this Saturday. I think all of the things that might have caused what we saw on Saturday are not going to be in play this week. So we'll see. I mean, the Florida State that played against LSU, they weren't flawless, but that looked like people were saying might be the best team in the country. If Clemson can beat that team, congratulations to Clemson, because I think that they may see that team on Saturday.
Hope so. I certainly will get a team that I think plays angry and hopefully is healthy. We can't know. We're not allowed to speculate to a great extent, but we do know guys were under the weather. Right. I think the things that they have to clean up are the frustrating aspects of the conversation. Like if you're still having to clean some things up about getting plays in on time and guys being in the wrong position and letting people run free down the middle of the field, that's stuff that you could tell pisses Mike off, and it should. And he sounded angry to me when he talked about that. Ira, did you pick up on that? He seems a little perturbed that that's still a thing.
Yeah, but I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging around, just talking to people and finding out exactly, is it everybody? Is it one person?
Well, it's not everybody.
And so, yeah. So, but I mean, is it coming from the sideline, or is it who then is communicating it from there? I just, it's one of those things that they're not going to roll anybody under the bus, but we'll definitely try to figure out a little bit more about where it's happening. But yeah, I mean, they for all of the debates last year about that defense, when you and I would have debates, other people would have debates about whether or not that was a good defense last year or not. The one thing we could all agree upon, if you look at statistically, they didn't give up a lot of big plays in the passing game. They just didn't. They didn't have a lot of busts. And so when you look at this team so far, they have had a lot of busts. They've had wide open receivers. I mean, they've had guys just running free from miscommunication. And so that's got to get better. You'd like to think it'll get better this week because look, man, Clemson is going to run the football. They're going to be good. They're great at running the football. They've got a great running back, maybe the best running back in the country in Will Shipley. And that's going to create a lot of issues where you've got to devote a lot of effort and attention to him, which, if you've got defensive backs getting bad eyes, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, this is a fun week for a defensive coordinator in a way because it's all right there on the table. You know what it is, and you can challenge their manhood. I think you're gonna press and play a lot of guys one-on-one in those situations. They've done that against LSU. They trusted him. I thought this was an interesting game plan. I'd love to know why, what it was they were worried about, that you would have two high safeties as frequently as we did from the jump. I don't know. Again, that's where I wonder about the overall health of the team going into the game. It's just weird. I don't know what they were worried about in the past.
I mean, everybody made fun about it. The picture, I think Tom might have been one of the first people I saw tweet the picture of Adam Fuller walking off the plane or into the hotel or whatever the day before the game. And he had that awful look on his face like he was mad at the world. He might have been a little bit concerned about his depth chart and who was available because, I took a video from the bus outside of the stadium, and a bunch of the players were wearing masks because there were a bunch of players have been dealing with the flu or a bug. So, and again, that's not an excuse. Mike Norvell has not made one comment about it, and his coaching staff hasn't, and you give them credit for that. But it's the reality, man. When I'm sick, I just want to stay in bed all day, not go play a football game against dudes trying to run me over. So I do think that was a factor. But I just think it was one of many factors. Again, if that was the case, if you did have all that not feeling great and all that, you go into the game, BC's for real. They go right down the field. Their quarterback looks awesome. But then you wrestle control of the game back and you take it over and you're up 31-10. At that point, I almost tweeted, and thank goodness I didn't, Jeff.
Well, then don't do it now, Ira.
No, I almost tweeted at 31-10 something along the lines of, "Are we still firing? Are we still firing defensive coordinators?" Or And thankfully I didn't.
Yeah.
because the next quarter
'Cause
and a
the
half
answer
happened.
would have been a resounding yes. Yes, we are. Yes, sir. That would have been, yes, we are. Well, if you can't play through the flu, Ira, I just can't win with you. I can't
Yeah.
win with 11 Iras walking around here wanting to go to bed. It's game
Yeah.
day. I got to make a
I,
tackle.
I'd miss the wake up call. Sorry, coach. Can't make it, buddy.
Well, I think it'll be interesting. I know we'll get to do it on Seminole Headlines. I am curious your thoughts in totality through 3 games. What are your thoughts about this offensive line in the run game, and what are your thoughts on Jordan's play?
I think with Jordan, I'll start there. It was one of the things the biggest questions I had coming into the season was like, what do they do with all these weapons? And because it's hard to have an identity when you have so many different ways you could score. I mean, Jaheim Bell could be a feature player. Obviously, Johnny Wilson can. He has been. Obviously, Keon Coleman could be. Trey Benson could be. Jordan Travis could be. You have a lot of guys that could be the featured player on an offense. And so when you have all of these weapons, now what do? Are you trying to just spread the ball around, or are you just taking what the defense gives you, or do you go this week we're going to feature this guy and because of this matchup and that? So that was always something I was going to be interested in. And I think from Jordan's standpoint, that's got to I didn't think about. I thought about more from Norvell's standpoint and Atkins' standpoint, but I think from Jordan's standpoint, there's got to be some decisions there to be made. If you think back to last year, I think Jordan was intentionally going to some guys early in the year. I think Micah Pittman, for example, I think he was trying to get him going early in the year. And then as the year went on, it was like, no, we got to go to Johnny. So I think you may see something like that where things are more a little bit predetermined because this offense, we know Mike Norvell and Alex Atkins can scheme it up. You don't need to just find the guy who is a dynamic player. And I think it was exacerbated in that game against BC because you only had the ball 50 something plays. I mean, they had the ball one time in the first quarter. So now you're going through this game and there's this pressure of, I got to get people the ball like a point guard. Like I got to get these guys touches. And so I think maybe that might be playing into it. But I think that, as you get into a game like Clemson or some of these big games, maybe it's a little bit more predetermined based on matchups and the game plan for that week. As far as the running game, I don't know. I'm not putting it much on the offensive line. I'm putting it more on the backs. You watch some of these other backs. I watched, the Colorado State game that night or the Florida Tennessee game. I just saw backs running through contact more than we've seen so far from Trey Benson. And if you look at the statistics, I put it in my 3-2-1 column. The statistics bear that out. He's not getting yards after contact. He's not making defenders miss the way he did a year ago. Now, it's time to get going, big guy. I mean, last year was the second half of the season. It needs to happen starting this Saturday because I think the offensive line's playing well enough. He needs, the backs need to make better decisions, but then they also need to make some yards. Jimbo used to always say, if I've got to draw up or scheme up every yard for you, you're not the right back. Well, right now, Trey Benson's getting the yards that are schemed up. He needs to get some of those additional yards.
You know who runs hard all the time?
Rodney Hill.
That's correct.
But listen, Trey Benson's a pretty special package once they get him going. So you can't just move on.
Going. But I mean, at some point you kind of, I mean, it's a fair thing to start to wonder about. I also happen to like, and I've said it a lot, Keziah Holmes. I know he didn't play in this game. I kept thinking, but it's interesting. Well, we'll see. I expect a good week of practice. I know you'll be out there tomorrow. I'm going to try to make it out there tomorrow as well. It's a big week. I think it's a big moment. I think we can agree on that, right? Like this game does not derail your season if you lose it. But let's be honest, 7 straight, you came into this season thinking, okay, we look like we have the better team. If you're a Florida State fan, through 2 games, you certainly thought Florida State was going to be the much better team. Now there's a lot of doubt in the air. Now there's a lot of concern. How do they respond to the adversity that they just suffered through in the second half of this BC game? And do they go play a good game? Because it would speak volumes about what this team is and who they are and what this coaching staff is if they right the ship here and go up there and play dominant football and get a win. I think it'd be a big, big deal. If they lose, we're left to wonder again what has to change, if anything. Like, you're going to have these questions that will persist, and you won't get answers for a while, Ira, because you have a bye week, and then you have Virginia Tech. All due respect to Virginia Tech. You just won't get answers for a while.
Yeah, and I think they're going to play well. I mean, I just think nobody on that team can feel good about themselves after that game on Saturday. Nobody. And so when they watch that film and then they go out to practice tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, man, I've got to imagine that they're going to be as locked in, as focused as they've ever been. Because not only are you playing Clemson, who's beaten you 7 straight times, you're playing them in their stadium, and you just looked awful against Boston College 3 days ago. So I think it may work out where it's the best thing that ever happened to them. If we don't see a great effort for them this Saturday, well, then this season's not going to be what we thought it could be, because everything should be lined up for them to play exceptionally well against a Clemson team that can get got. And here's your chance. They got to make it happen.
Love it, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Chef.
Yep. Schoffel, warchant.com. Does a great job for us always. His 321 column is on the website right now, warchant.com. Go read it.